I don't need no one to save me. I was born to be the greatest. All that time in that basement, all that time isn't wasted. Rapping getting faded. I just wanna tell my mom that I made it. Just wanna be the topic of the conversation. Used to rock the gold plated. Now I'm wearing gold chains like I'm famous.
The thing is, the government in the West is not fair. I'll specifically speak to the United States because, you know, I'm not too well versed in the UK or Canada, so I'll speak to the United States. But in the United States, like it's rough. So if you have the opportunity, men, if you have the opportunity to go overseas and then get married, cool. But I know a lot of men, they're saying, I don't want to get married here.
Well, yeah, and like one thing for me is I say whatever men choose to do, it's their choice. I have a strict policy about my interactions with other men. I don't pocket watch and I don't crotch watch.
Right.
Strict policy. What you do is what you do. You're a man.
Right.
As long as you live with your consequences of your choices, it has nothing to do with me.
Right.
And you know, and I think that a lot of things, like talking about this whole situation with how the vitriol that the traveling community has had, especially the Black traveling community. When I see it, I'm just laughing because this has been happening to me. I've been being told I'm crazy for traveling outside of the country. And I traveled outside of the country for a lot. Women were like tertiary, you know, it was like martial arts. It was seeing stuff. It work, you know, so work was a primary reason, you know. So I would look at it and say, and I would come back from work, and you know, I was playing jazz, and I played jazz overseas at 18. I came back, and a bunch of sisters and some white girls was like, "Oh, well, you've been over there with them Japanese girls. You think you're too good for us?" And I was like, "I just got back. I haven't even spoke to you. What's in your mind?"
Right. Yeah, and so I just kind of want to rewind, you know, because you said that you've been traveling, you know, for so long. But like one of the reasons why you were traveling, correct me if I'm wrong, because you and I had spoken about this offline, but you come from like a military background, is that correct?
Well, my family's military. So
yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Yeah, so like I had the best of both worlds, right? I had the best of both worlds, so I could like go to school in America in summertime. Mom would be mad at me. She was like, send me to go with my uncle to Germany or send me to the Philippines with my uncle. I mean, I was born on a military base and came to the United States came back as a youngster. Just be sent or even go up with your uncle in Seattle, you know, when my uncle was in Seattle. And so, you know, my favorite uncle, because I was a very rambunctious kid. So summers, I was not going to be let in the house alone while my parents worked. That wasn't going to happen. Something was going to get, well, something did get burnt down before when I was younger. And like, they just found out that wasn't the right thing to do. I was that type of kid. I wasn't bad. I was into things, if that makes sense to you. You know, I mean,
I know what you're saying. So you weren't bad, but you were just kind of like, you would just tinker with something. And then basically like, you know, all hell would break loose. Like if you pushed the wrong button or something like that.
Oh no, I was stupid. I would try to I watched The Lone Ranger, and I seen,
oh no, okay.
I tried to build a teepee in my living room and light a fire in the teepee.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
I tried to save you, but all right, you just no. I got you. And Scott, just kind of go back to you. So so you said that you know, you were watching Kevin Samuels. Like, what brought you to actually start watching Kevin Samuels? And before you answer, now, was this Kevin Samuels when he was speaking with the men or when he started speaking to the ladies?
So he was actually speaking to the ladies because at that point he was going viral.
Okay.
Yeah, he was going viral. And
well, this is like 2019, 2020, Keving.
Yeah, right around that cusp, right when the sickness happened, you know?
Yep.
And so all of a sudden I just see this man in the talking about relationships, and I'm like, who is this guy? Why does he keep appearing on my feed? Because all the content I watch is like Lex Friedman, Dr. Andrew Huberman, crypto stuff, economic stuff. Like I'm a nerd, like a straight up undercover nerd. So so all of a sudden he's on my stream.
Yeah. Me personally, what I liked about Kevin Samuels is that he was an older gentleman who was taking his time to give wisdom to people. And like, I think a lot of folks, like, you know, once you get to a certain age, like, if someone pays attention, I'll give them a lot of information. But if they act like they don't have time for me, I'll keep it to myself. And that's just the way. It's just like, you know, like we always say, we just want respect. Like, oh, I want respect like old folks, like gangsters and your grandpa. You know, we just want that respect. And so like, you know, as a person who's been around, like when I've been traveling, I see certain things people are making and certain mistakes people make. And like, I had to reach out. I try to reach out sometimes, and they just like, they don't have no time for me. It's okay. But I can guarantee you that I can stop half of the mistakes that people make when they travel. Half of the state, we could probably stop 100% of the mistakes you make on YouTube because we've made them all. But like, as far as traveling, I could remedy a lot of mistakes that folks make, even doing content overseas. Because we were doing content overseas, we were interviewing people, one-on-one interviews, long-form interviews with ladies in 2019 who barely spoke English. And you know, as a matter of fact, one of our bigger videos at the time was Black in Asia. She's Belgoon. She's Cape Verdean and Mongolian, and she was raised up there. And we just talked about her whole life, and she broke it down. She said, like, hey, the city was racist. The countryside, where all the people are like, you know, they ride horses, that's where people accepted me. Then when I came to the city after I had made myself, I'm their boss. The same people who were kind of like giving their stuff as their boss. These stories about traveling is fascinating. It's a lot more, you know, where else can you find a story like that you can relate to in a totally different environment? And somebody sat down and blessed us with that story. I mean, I was super happy for that.
Yeah, so, yeah. It was that video that was the little engine that could.
Yeah, it started off with like 400 views, and it's like,
No, it started off with like 50 views, and then like a year later, all of a sudden it's like 3,000 views. I'm like, where did this even come from? Like
yeah.
Nice, but, nice. When I first went to Colombia, like I didn't know like that they had like a big Afro culture there, and so one of the first places that I went to was called Palenque, Colombia. And so Palenque, Colombia, what I found out is one of the places. The first territory of the runaway slaves.
Wow.
Of all of the Americas. So we're talking North, Central, and South America. So Palenque, Colombia is where our people, melanated people, went there and made it their own territory. So I would recommend anyone that you know, who travels and who goes to Colombia and hasn't been to Palenque, you should go to Palenque because it's a very impoverished area, but the people there are so happy and they will give you the shirt off their back. I mean, literally, like they were like trying to give me stuff, and I'm like, no. I need to be giving you. Like, some people don't have like doors to the front of their houses, and it's just it's a very humbling experience. You know. So like learning about that, like what you said, like with the woman from I believe you said Mongolia, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So she was treated poorly, and then she turned it around and flipped it, and now she manages the people who treated her poorly.
Yeah, which is really funny because she's the happiest person in that office.
I bet she is.
And she's a sweetheart. Like, she's a really good personality.
One of the nicest people. That's funny is I've met some of the nicest people in the world travel, right? You know, my wife's not from the United States, and she's literally one of the nicest people I've ever met in the world.
Except she keeps calling me Chino.
Yeah, well, she calls it my wife's from Mexico. She's from Oaxaca. And so she looks at Scott, and but it's always out of love. She's like, did the Chino eat? What's the Chino gonna eat? Where's the Chino at? Is he okay?
So what does Chino mean?
It's Chinese.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but what is your background, Scott? Your nationality?
I'm half Vietnamese and half Scots-Irish, like European mud.
Oh, okay. In Colombia, they have like 26. You know, they have 26 holidays a year that they celebrate and that they take off from work. Like outside of the West, they value family more than work, because I was telling them, like, for me, Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday, but I got to start getting like everyone on board starting from like April, May. But like with my ex, like her mom could say like, hey, you know, we're having a get together. 3 hours later, everybody's there. Everybody's there within 3 hours.
Popping. It was popping in 3 hours. You have a get together and it lasts 2 days.
Right, exactly. Exactly. You know, and so it's just so different because like the tradition has, you know, it's just lost here. You know, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that the tradition here is just lost, man.
And these are some of the reasons why I talk about things like this, right? I understand why, like some of the cats, they go overseas and they see this tradition and they're like, man, when I was young, we used to really do it big on Thanksgiving, and we haven't got together for Thanksgiving at all, and that's why they want that. Listen, the thing that gets me the most about the detractors of the Passport Brothers is that, like Scott said, they're not asking the why. The women aren't asking the why. The men who are detracting aren't asking the why. You know, I mean, they want to make it seem like there's a bunch of non-select dudes who can't do anything, who are dusty.
Right,
you know, right. Like weaving and sandaling, like you know, O'Shea Duke Jackson. You know, say shout out to O'Shea Duke Jackson.
Shout out to O'Shea Duke Jackson.
Yeah, man. Shout out to O'Shea. Shout out to O'Shea.
That's not the truth. The truth is like I've never had a problem speaking with women. I've never had a problem with attracting women. Yep. And you can ask Scott. I was 150 pounds heavier, and I thought I was the bee's knees. I go up to him with my Biggie Small swagger, breathing heavy, like, "How you doing?" So I wasn't worried about it. I wasn't traveling for that. I was traveling because that feeling. I found another place besides like my grandma's house where people were together once a week.
Yeah,
where like when you say dinner's at 6 o'clock and people like stop what they're doing, there is no video games. There is no talking on the phone. There is no social media. Stop and eat dinner at 6 o'clock.
Right.
And then go back. And then we have the nerve to call these people backwards.
Right.
Where that's actually not backwards. That's like forward. We're backwards. If I got a little computer that's telling me that I can't talk to my mama while she didn't cook dinner, there's a problem. You know, and so I think that's why a lot of brothers are attracted to that lifestyle. They get over there and they're like, wow. Because if it wasn't, there wouldn't be so many dudes who are relocating.
Right. Absolutely. You know, absolutely. Go ahead, man. Because it's good. No, go ahead. What's a Blue Book gentleman? Go ahead.
All right. So to me, if I say a Blue Book gentleman is somebody who travels and their priorities have shifted. Look, when you're a young man and you're traveling, your priorities may be one of two things: business, which I traveled for business, whether it was music or whether it was being a buyer, and you travel to meet women, right? And this happened a lot. Maybe you want to meet a wife, a bride, you want to meet different women, and this and that. As you get older, things become secondary and tertiary that were important to you. So like business traveling, after I moved back from Thailand, it wasn't as important for me to go to Thailand and generate any money. Or I lived in Europe for 2 years also. I didn't want to go to Europe and generate money. I just wanted to see Europe. I wanted to see Thailand. I wanted to experience different things and different aspects of it. I went back to Thailand so many times because I'm an instructor in Thai boxing, and I just wanted to touch with my Arjan and really go out there and train and enjoy some of the guys and do some Thai camps. So as you get older and you get more seasoned and the rose-colored glasses come off and you realize that, okay, these are 100% human beings. There's good and bad here, just like everywhere else. And maybe they have some more traditional values here. Maybe some people don't, but you do understand that maybe that feminine aspect that you're looking for is going to be tertiary or fourth. And, you're really traveling for culture. You're traveling for experience. You're traveling to have some great memories. I traveled with a group of gentlemen from 2000 to 2008, where I didn't want to go anywhere. It was such a great time. And so that's kind of like when I say a Blue Book gentleman, you've kind of matured out of the phase of just skirt chasing, and you matured into the phase of really enjoying not only enjoying the culture, but exploring if this is a place where you're gonna really be able to live and put down roots.
Okay. Now let me I'm gonna keep you right there, Grover. Now what would be your definition of a passport bro? Your definition.
Okay, so I'm in a Facebook group, and I see a lot of gentlemen come, To be a passport bro is somebody who maybe just started traveling a few years ago, super excited, don't really know what part of the world that they really want to go to. Maybe they're just going to South America, or they're just going to Southeast Asia, or they're just going to the islands, but they're not like branching out and saying, which some of the brothers do, right? But they're not branching out and saying, hey, I'm going to go all through Europe, and after I go through Europe, I'm going to go maybe to Eastern Europe, or I'm going to go to Moscow and visit Moscow. I mean, before they were at war with Ukraine, right? Or I'm going to go to Mongolia. Like, I'm one of the few people. I haven't met anybody who went to Mongolia for a trip like I have, and I've been twice, you know. And so they haven't really decided what they like about traveling. They just know they like to travel, and maybe, you know, and maybe the status that comes with traveling is good to them, and maybe it's women is first on their list. Maybe staying in places that they wouldn't be able to stay in if they were doing it at home. Like, I know you can go to Palawan and stay in Palawan in the Philippines at places that would cost $300 a night here, and it's costing $50 a night there. I mean, that's a great lifestyle upgrade for a vacation, right? So, but the bros, in my opinion, don't really quite know what they like about traveling. They just know they like it. They don't quite know what part of the world they want to stay in. They just know that, you know, maybe they just don't need to be in the United States anymore. So I think it's just a maturation period and just maybe a little less time. I mean, I started traveling 30 years ago. So, you know, I kind of look at things differently than somebody who just started.
All right. Excellent explanation, man. Definitely appreciate that. And Scott, like, I want to hear your thoughts on either or. Like, would you say? Let me scratch that. What are your thoughts in general about passport? You know, a passport bro. Let's start there.
My thoughts on passport bros is like a reaction to the development of how Western modern women are using all the advantages they have, from the social media side to economics, to being able to attract more attention from men easier than they did before in the past. So now they go in their DMs, they got about like 10 or 20 different guys, and we're talking about like an average female. So that automatically boosts or inflates their ego, where they think they're more valuable on the dating market than they really are. But that's why I really like Kevin Samuels, because he always tells the ladies, like, you can't have it all. And it seems like a good amount of modern women that I've talked to think that they can have it all without realizing that there have to be some trade-offs. So passport bros to me is like a reaction to that, is like, why do I need to be here as a passport bro and deal with all this resistance and friction just to get a date and to get someone that wants to acknowledge me for who I am, when I can go to another country where the females there are still embodying those traditional feminine attributes. So a lot of the modern women talking points that I see, and that I can, it's like too much of a masculine edge. It's like, we can do this, we can do that, we can do it just as good as you guys. But it's coming from a very ego-based way of wanting to get into a relationship, because when I really get into deeper conversations with these ladies, they kind of want to be like, you know, they want to go to work, but they still want their guy to provide for them. It's like, it's nice for them. So it's like having to sift through all that messy modern woman theology, I guess, is the best way to say it, and just get them to be more feminine. So that's how I see the passport bros. It's like, why are we here, since we're guys, we're more logical, why do we want to deal with all this when we can just go outside of the country and talk to women that appreciate us and that appreciate our masculinity without calling it the without it being like being patriarchal, you know, that we're upholding the patriarchy. That's what I was trying to say, upholding the patriarchy. So that's how I see the passport bros. And it's just so crazy, because I've been going on Twitter, I've been looking at the comment section, I've jumped on other people's YouTube channels, and I'm seeing a big backlash where there's passport bro haters now. And that's just really odd to me. Is like, there seems like no one wants to really have a conversation about what their actual issues are, why men want to go to other countries. So, I mean, if a guy really wants to go trick or whatever, he can do it here. I mean, he can go to Bunny Ranch out into Las Vegas. I mean, there's like other sites too that you can probably go on to. Like, it's not that hard to get to those aspects of the underworld when it's really like a stone throw away in the United States. So anyway, that's my answer. I know it was long-winded.
No. Trust me. I loved your answer, and your thoughts on Blue Book Gentleman. I'll hold you right there.
The Blue Book Gentleman is a term that Grover came up with, so I'm kind of like still adjusting to it. So a Blue Book Gentleman, from how Grover described it, really makes sense because I'm gonna say this, like, guys and females, it's like we are attracted to sex sells, like, simply put, sex sells.
Yep.
So when we go to another country, we automatically want to hook up with different girls in other countries. But that doesn't mean that girls, when they go travel, they're not going looking for some foreign guy. Like, how many girls have you heard say, "Oh, I love this guy because of his accent"? You know, like, it happens all the time.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So the Blue Book Gentleman, from how Grover described it, is about how a person matures and takes off the rose-colored glasses. Because in other countries, there are real dangers. There's different cultures, and you're going to get into a culture shock if you don't understand the mores and norms and those cultural standards that could get you in big trouble if you happen to violate one of those cultural standards. So the Blue Book Gentleman, to me, is like being able to get past our primal base human behavior instincts of wanting to procreate and looking at the world and experiencing the world through like a way where it's enriching one's life and being able to enculture yourself in that culture.
Gotcha.